Hey guys, it's Adam from LUCIDPIXUL, and today I want to do not a book review. I want to have a book discussion. The reason being, I received this gorgeous gift from my girlfriend over the holidays. It's The Art of Game of Thrones. Here, oh my god, this weighs as much as my car. And the reason that I want to go over this book together is because I feel this it starts a conversation and exposes something about the industry that is crucially important. There is a big discrepancy between what's taught in schools and what popular opinion is, and when it comes down to real crunch time in a studio, what's required of you, and very often demanded of you by your employers, by different studios. And this book beautifully illustrates this. Now, take into account two things. Number one, that this is one perspective under one specific circumstance. The second is, know right out of the gate that my opinion of the artwork inside and of the artist therein is extremely high. Okay? So, to open it up, a very impressive book. First impression you get, right out of the gate, is my light glaring? Is my actual camera light glaring here in the corner? No, that's not a glare. That's an actual light effect that's been kind of washed over very quickly. When you look at it closely, you can see, you very quickly start to notice, okay, well, 99% of what I'm seeing in this image is all photo collage. It's all photo bashing. And the sky, the sails, all of these details of these different boats, the water, everything but maybe some of these lines in the splashes and some little lighting effect is pretty much all photo bashing. And not particularly good photo bashing either. There's different photographs that are different resolutions. This isn't like a realistic matte painting. This is very like slapped together, very last second. Okay. This is the first impression of the book. And then you look on page 2, you can see here, hopefully you can see it in the video. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit to give you a little bit of a better view of this. All of these people here on the bottom are low-res photo overlays, and you can see very closely how the person just took kind of a multiply layer and just slapped some red over it. Didn't even do a nice job of it. It's very sloppy. And then you can see off in the distance, there's all these different high-res and low-res things that are all slapped in together all over the place. It's pretty disturbing from somebody who spent all these years learning anatomy and rendering and lighting and ambiance and perspective, and then you see this. And this is Game of Thrones, for God's sakes, right? It's a very high standard for this kind of stuff. And it gets worse as you move forward. Anything that's been painted by hand has been painted, looks like it's been painted with a mouse. The colors are very dirty overlaid colors. Remember, I'm not insulting the artist. I think this is actually quite remarkable. You look at the trees, and you can very clearly tell that it was probably some picture of a tree where the background been quickly deleted. The edges haven't even been cleaned up properly. Anything that's been drawn by hand is completely loose and very cheaply done. Nice looking in the studio. And it gets worse. Blurry airbrush over some photograph with some color overlay, some teal and orange LUT thrown on top of it. Done. Different resolution, poor quality, photo bashing. And you're sitting here going, this is Game of Thrones. This is Game of Thrones. And wow, okay. That's who they're hiring? And you're thinking that these are bad artists that are hired to do a very big project. This is the impression that a novice artist would have. I would argue even professionals who haven't been exposed to this facet of production. And it goes on and on and on and on. And by the time you make it to Walder Frey, and then you're a little further in, and then you have the rocky cliffs and the bridges. When it comes to these technical drawings, they're actually pretty tight. I mean, not the best I've seen, but good, right? These are, you look close up, you can barely tell a detail. It's just kind of slapped together. And, well, I think you're getting the point. You look at this. This is a 1980s comic Photoshop filter slapped on top of half of these things. I laughed when I saw it the first time, but I didn't laugh because I was trolling or making fun of the artist. I was laughing because it's ironic. It's ironic that when you're working in a big production, like Game of Thrones, understand the context of this. This is a TV show that pushed the bar of TV shows to cinematic standards. It literally raised the bar across the board. Everything that follows, the Witcher series that's coming out right now, all of these different Viking films or different long series films are all coming out with a very cinematic budget and production level to them. It's pretty remarkable stuff. But in that reality also exists the reality of production times, budget, what's expected of these artists. And one of the things you learn when you're working in a production like this, a very high octane production, which this very much is, very high stress environment. I'm sure any art, if you're an artist, if you worked on this project, I'm sure you can attest to the incredibly stressful environment that you were working in. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, yeah, it'll burn you out if you keep it up for long enough. But the faster you get in animation, in illustration, in concept art, the more you realize what's demanded of you is not beauty and refinement and skill. It's get to the goddamn point. And the point of this artwork, which I would argue is executed very, very well, is create a mood board. It doesn't matter. It's like street fighting compared to championship fighting. Street fighting is grab whatever you can find off the street and stab somebody with it. Do whatever you can to survive while arms and legs are flailing at you. It's not choreographed and beautiful and studied. You don't have time to study your opponent. Just get to the goddamn point. So photo texture quality, rendering, lighting effects, all of this stuff is a waste of time. It's get to the point, create a mood palette, slap in some textures that kind of establish what it is, the direction you want to go with this, have some characters in there that are loosely painted over, screw opacity jitter on your pen, just go. And in the end, what you're aiming to achieve, to greater or lesser degree, depending on which one you're looking at, is establishing what each scene feels like based on their color palette, some texture information, some effects information, some compositional information, and that's it. Move on. Once that's done, if you sit there and start to finesse and start to paint eyeballs, you're going to get fired. There's no time for that bullshit. You have so much information that needs to be executed in such a short period of time. And your artwork is not, this isn't going to end up in a poster. It's an art book, yes, but this isn't to be confused with splash art that you're going to be using to promote the show. This is stuff that's going to be discarded. I like that. That color is good. Okay, get rid of those. Those 4 that you did, get rid of them. So if you spend 2 weeks working on a single illustration, if somebody waves it off and says, no, I don't like that, change the color, you'd be pretty heartbroken, wouldn't you? Furthermore, you'd be holding back the entire production. So what this artwork, and I want you guys to have a good debate about it down below in the comments, okay? In a healthy debate, of course. And if you're a professional, if you've worked on this kind of production, I would love it if you'd be able to voice in on this as well. Offer your feedback, add to what I'm saying with your own personal experiences. That's what concept art is. This is what people don't understand concept art. The word concept art has become very watered down to suggest art in general. I want to be a concept artist. Is this what you want to be? Because this is what concept art really entails, at least in this context. There are other productions, other books, which I will be discussing in the coming future. I want to do more things like this because I find they're very helpful and informative to us who are trying to pave our professional path forward. This kind of stuff is what's going to be expected of you, particularly when you want to work on those AAA titles and you want to work on those big budget films and big budget shows. This is what happens. When I was working on the Disney show or when I was working at EA, there's no time to mull around with the details of an eye. It's get to the point. We want to see where it's going to go once everything's established and the models are starting to start to get designed and stuff like that, and we have an idea of where the visual direction of the game or the show or whatever it is going. Then we can start cleaning things up. Then we can start producing a little bit more promotional art. But 95% of the production is this kind of stuff. And this is where my compliment to these artists come. If you're listening, with such incredible constraints, with such incredible deadlines, I can't even fathom the stress that you guys were dealing with to be able to execute this stuff. When you flip through this book, flip through it, and let your eyes glaze over it. Don't look for details. Forget details. You're going to get very disappointed if you're looking for details, or if you're looking for texture consistency or resolution consistency. Look for moods. Where are we? What kind of a feeling is this? Because this is what the filmmakers are looking for. They're looking at a cheap shot, a cheap rendition. I don't care how you get there. It doesn't matter on what this scene is going to feel like. You're trying to stimulate thoughts and feelings. You're trying to direct and help to push the direction of where the cinematographer and the lighting technicians and post-production editors are going to go with this film. And this is a very quick, cheap way of doing this. This saves the production company a lot of money. All of those things come in extremely handy, but as you flip through it, when you start to feel the palette as it transitions from one end of the book to the other, you start to develop an appreciation for what you're looking at. And then you get something like this, where it just kind of all comes together really nicely with a beautiful, deep palette of colors. This is what this book is about. And that's why I'm so incredibly grateful. Thank you, Jen, for buying me this beautiful book. This is a very proud part of my collection because from a teacher's perspective, not that I teach this, I don't teach this particular style, not by any stretch. I teach the illustration side of things and the refined side of things because I'm in a line of work personally where I work on long-term works of art. I worked on the Game of Thrones game for Fantasy Flight, produced a lot of cards for them. Those works of art can take weeks or even up to months depending on the complexity, usually a couple of weeks at most. And it's a very different beast from what we're looking at here. I had time to think and compose and do rough sketches and thumbnails and color sketches and send back and forth between myself and the director. That kind of stuff doesn't happen here. You've got about half a day to do I don't know how many. Let me know in the comments below if you've worked on stuff like this. How many, what volume of work you're expected to work on. So from me to the artists who worked on this show, this phenomenal show, all the way to the bitter end, I send you a lot of respect. And I think that this is a testament to incredibly focused artists under incredibly difficult constraints. I just hope you got some really good vacation pay and a good break after this because my hat's off to you. Looking at this artwork stresses me out. But hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this is informative. And please, the whole reason I made this video is so that you could voice in below your thoughts and feelings on the topic. And if you have any book recommendations you'd like me to have a look at, I'll definitely have a look at them myself. And we might add them to this list of reviews that we can do. All right, so thanks for watching and happy painting. Take care.